Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we figure out how to build and run a SaaS. I'm Benedict.
And I'm Brian. Each week, we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we work on our products and keep the lights on by sending cold emails. Today is August 11th, and I am feeling grateful for decent Wi-Fi.
This is episode number 53, and I am melting.
Oh, man. We'll get to that in a little bit. I gotta apologize for not having an episode last week because the place we were at had dismal, like awful internet.
Perfect location for getting away from work then.
Well, I mean, it was the bummer. I mean, it's the worst internet. Like, it was there. It's just that it was really, really bad. And so if there's no internet at all, then you don't have the option. If you have enough to be able to check email, get work updates, push code, it just takes a little while. Then, but not enough to do video calls.
Yeah, I hear you. Bad internet is worse than no internet at all.
Yeah. So we tried to start recording. It was completely undoable, but I loved the new podcast, or the show that we put into the feed. It was great.
Yeah, I enjoyed that episode as well.
Well, what else? Let's see, what else is going on, man?
Yeah, as I said, like, I'm melting. It's super hot in Germany these days. And for some reason, like, my office, for some reason, is the warmest room in the entire house. Like, I can go into any other room and it's way colder. Like, I can actually tell. But this, and probably even this particular location where my desk is at, it's like super warm in here. It's
your windows windows facing the sun and pointing right against your back all day.
Yeah, I have the blinds down for the most part of the day. So I've been working in darkness the entire morning, and it's still super hot in here. Like, I don't even know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Rough. Yeah, going into the basement, like, usually I hate going into the basement to pick something up, but these days it's nice.
Yeah. I have moved my office back downstairs. I know I've talked before about, like, my office that I use at home. It's great because it's downstairs, it's got a door, it's separated, but there are no windows. There's no natural light. And so when I work from here at long stretches, it's depressing. Except for the summer months, where it's actually quite delightful because I come down here and it's a crisp 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Just have to be sure to get out several times during the day and soak up some vitamin C.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So what's happening with you? Like, what's new?
Well, so we were out in the Pacific Northwest, up in like this little peninsula in the southwest corner of Washington, like very rural, super remote. So it was really easy for us to be able to, like, hang out on the beach, and there was, like, nobody, for many, 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 like, hundreds and hundreds of meters in either direction. It was really, really great. And so I was working on the thing I've been trying to think through is my sales process. So I want to talk to you about cold emails today at some point, because in the latest user list advisor email, you all are having decent percentage of response rates on cold emails. And so I think you said like 20 something percent.
To be honest, I'm super not involved in any of this, which is kind of a little bit embarrassing. Because, like, I probably can't answer any of your questions, but it's also super nice to be not hands-on on something.
Yeah.
It's totally Jane's project right now.
Cool.
But
Well,
like, if you have questions, I can try to answer.
I'll ask you some, and if nothing else, then I'll have a conversation with. I'll reach out to Jane over the next week and talk about it, because here's what I've been trying to think through is I don't have nearly enough traffic or awareness yet for organic leads to be viable. Okay, cool, no sweat. So then I need to do some sales. So I listened to Damian Thompson, episode number 507 on Startups for the Rest of Us. It's called Making Cold Email Work. Really great episode, lots of practical advice in there. And so I started like integrating some of that. Used this tool called LeadFuse that Damien, I think, at one point was even involved with. And so, and it basically like allows you to exactly what you would expect, like put in some parameters, get some email addresses and send them short emails without being spammy or anything about it. Just like, hey, you're at this company, I'm working on this. Which of these problems do you have? Just like the direct advice he gives in that episode. Candidly, like it was not returning anything. Completely unsuccessful for what I was trying to use it for. I think probably like his even in thinking through it, I think his advice was much more, targeted toward like high volume of emails to like at enterprise sales, where that sort of effort is worth it, or where that sort of effort would lead to positive ROI. Then I stumbled upon this interview with Steli Efti of Close.io on Indie Hackers, and I'll put a link to that one in the show notes as well. And he had a really good piece of input where he was like, look, people really love giving advice. And so if you're super early and you're trying to get some early signups and things, don't say, hey, I've built something for you. Would you like to take a look? Or I'm trying to get my earliest customers, which is basically exactly what I've been saying. He said, don't say that. Say, I've built something for your industry and you have experience in it. I'm hoping I could get some advice from you. Could we have 10 or 15 minutes? And I've already gotten, I think, like 3 emails back out of 40, which I think is a pretty good take up rate for a cold email. And so I'm hopeful that is that's going to be a viable and repeatable strategy to kind of start getting a few more regular conversations happening. And so that's what I've been up to there.
Yeah, so I just checked like the emails we send right now. Like one of them is basically also the, hey, we're working on this problem. Like, would you be up for a call? Like, just like a conversation, an interview, whatever. And so far that has a response rate of 26%. And then the other one is basically, hey, we're working on EtherList. Why don't you check it out? Email, and for some reason it has a response rate of 36%, but like with a very limited amount of recipients. So not entirely sure if that is actually representative of how that would perform.
Yeah. Do you have any idea where that list of contacts is coming from?
Yeah, like we hired a VA on Upwork to basically go through, I think, research companies on indie hackers was one of those of the list, and basically find companies that would be a good fit and email those. And I know Jane's right now working on basically using BuildWith to get lists of potential leads and like that use tools that are complementary to us, like people using Stripe, people using Help Scout, and she's currently trying to figure out, like, got a 1 month subscription of BuildWith and got those lists, and they are huge. And now she's trying to figure out like how to distill that down into actually a reasonable amount of of emails or contacts that make sense to email to. So yeah, not sure what else to say there.
Well, I'll reach out and get a little bit more detail on that, on the process there. I'm trying to like find a balance between just spending a ton of time on sales like cold outreach, which I think is just one aspect of it. And then the other thing is I'm also in the middle of working on like a really good, what I hope will be anyway, a really good piece of Cornerstone content. Because I listened to, I pretty much went on a microconf and indie hackers binge in the 20-hour car drive in both directions. And the other thing I listened to was microconf on air with Christopher Gimmer, using organic content as your flywheel. So that was a really good talk. And so he described how early on for them, rather than creating a whole bunch of small pieces of content, create 2 or 3 like major cornerstone pieces, promote those, and reach out to the people who are interested in it. And like that clicked immediately. So that's the other piece of it I'm doing is, okay, let's shut off the idea of paid search or any of that. Like that's just not going to work yet. And also don't go hardcore on trying to send out, hundreds of cold emails per day or per week. It's probably also not going to have a really great hit rate. Strike the balance in here and try to create some great content, get some interest there, who is interested in it, and reach out and do some conversations with them. So that's what I'm dead smack in the middle of. Yeah, right now. Really hope to have it finished by the end of this week, but I mean, I'm like shooting for 10,000-12,000 words kind of a style of thing. So a lot of research and a lot of writing to be done, but I'm probably 2,500 words into it so far. So we'll see.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Like from what I heard recently about SEO and stuff like that, like those long form articles apparently are working pretty well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it makes sense also just as a better, I mean, not only for the SEO play, but as a potential lead magnet. It just gives you so many chances to show the customer, I really do understand what it is you're going through and all of the different points of view of your problem, and thinking through it and providing examples of other research and studies, et cetera, makes sense that works better than early on, better than a bunch of pretty shallow pieces of content that definitely aren't going to rank in and of themselves. But let's see. I actually had a customer call before this one this morning at 6 a.m. my time, because she was in the UK. And so and it went pretty good. Got some good I got some good feedback. I don't think she's a totally qualified buyer though. And so I'm kind of balancing her feedback with not so sure that this is a perfect customer persona anyway.
They're unlikely to sign up, or like what makes you think they are not a good fit?
Well, they operate under what's called a holacracy. um, company, which is where you don't have like the typical tree structure of management. It's flat, and people don't really have titles. They have roles that they can move into and out of, and uh, you know, it's just set up a little bit differently. And
Hmm.
I am very much saying, hey, managers, you have direct reports. You should use this tool.
Yeah.
And so, but what was interesting is like partway through, I was like, so I mean, it sounds to me like I really can't solve. I don't think I'm a good fit. It sounds to me like I really can't solve the problems that you're facing. So, um, is that would you agree? And it was almost like loss aversion for her, where she was like, well, no. I mean, I wouldn't say that just yet. So it was kind of funny, but um anyway, so I will say, like, I think that is why I don't expect them to sign up, because of their structure. The problems that she's trying to solve, Headlamp
Hmm.
completely, can address them. There are a couple of features that she said that she needs, in order to feel like she would, be ready to sign up. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with everything. Sales, SEO, content marketing, uh, just bringing that whole mix together.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Nice.
what do you got going on your side?
Yeah, quite a bit. Like since we didn't talk last week, the list is quite long. We had our 1 year anniversary. We launched a user
Ooh,
list on August 6th last year.
nice.
So it's
All
not. It's
right.
well, depending on how you count, it's 1 year old by now. Of course, the company is way older, and we've been working on it for way longer.
Longer.
But it's out in the public for a year now. Um, Sad thing about it, we didn't make my personal revenue goal. Like it said, like when we launched, they set a revenue goal and said, like, yeah, like if we don't hit that goal, like that MRR mark in a year, then I'm going to quit. And no, we didn't hit it. And I'm not quitting because it would be kind of stupid.
Well, things change.
Things
Where
change. Yeah. So
did you, in retrospect, was it a realistic goal and things didn't go the way that you hoped that they would, or was it an unrealistic goal and you've learned something since then?
no, I think it was a very realistic goal.
Mhm.
And like, if I want to make it easy, then I can just blame the pandemic for as a reason for not making it. I'm not entirely sure if that's true. Um, but yeah, so I mean, back like last year when I made that decision or set that goal, we didn't have the tiny seed funding and
Mhm, mhm.
basically still working on it on the side. Which, well, the working on it on the side part is no longer true, and that probably means we should have met a goal, but at least we have more runway now, so it's not as big of a problem as it would have been otherwise.
Sure.
um, so now well, now we're just setting bigger goals and trying to achieve them in shorter time. But yeah, I'm not quitting userlist right now. We keep going until the money runs out, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, it was nice to celebrate. Luckily, or coincidentally, it was on Thursday, and we had our monthly happy hours call on Thursday as well. So we used that
Mhm.
to celebrate.
Oh, nice.
Jane
Nice.
Jane had a little piece of cake and with a small candle on it. I had some confetti we threw. So yeah, it was fun. Had a nice small group to hang out with and celebrate the occasion.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah, that
That's
was pretty
really cool.
cool. On the more serious stuff, we are almost done with the new knowledge base on the website. Like moved everything over, exported stuff from Help Scout. It's almost done in the sense that we're still doing some restructuring, like moving things around, renaming links,
Mhm,
and just
mhm.
like cleaning things up. That's still pending, but once that is done, we're ready to push it. I'm excited about it because I feel like our best content is in the knowledge base, and if we get
Nice.
like traffic for those, that would be super cool. And then like first results from Asia's work. She did a lot of customer interviews and shared the notes from them with us, and that was actually quite interesting. We learned a couple things about the product, about how people think about it, and even like personal insights from our customers. It was pretty fun to listen to those interviews.
What were some of the more surprising things that you learned about how customers see Userlist versus how you've been thinking about it?
Like one of the most surprising things was that people actually see measurable improvements in their business by using Userlist. Like one of our customers said they noticed a 25% reduction in churn.
Nice.
Just by sending emails, and that makes me pretty exciting because like on our side we don't really have a way to measure that sort of thing, because like we can measure how many emails we send, but like we don't know about your churn.
You don't have access to their Stripe.
Revenue.
Yeah.
We don't have all that data, at least not right now. So it's super exciting to hear like some feedback from people that it's actually working for them. Asia is using those interviews with good results, and having her team write up case studies, or at least one case study for now, possibly more. And we'll put them on the website, and maybe have like do a marketing campaign or something like that around it.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's super exciting, and it's also funny to like compared to doing those interviews ourselves. I feel like having her as a third party who isn't really involved in anything to it, I think it got other replies or other responses and answers from people than what they would have said if they were talking to us directly. So it was
for sure.
It was super interesting. Also like have a list of things that we should probably improve. Like Peter keeps mentioning that our app looks shitty on mobile and doesn't work pretty well, which is true. That was something he mentioned in the interview a couple of times. So I should probably fix that as well at some point. Whatever, it was great. She also started setting up a Facebook campaign or a Facebook business account for us. Well, we're not super. I'm personally not super excited to give money to Facebook. Like, also one thing that like from those interviews, apparently a lot of founders are hanging out on Facebook, like in private Facebook groups or like communities on Facebook and stuff like that. So while I'm not excited about giving money to Facebook, I'm kind of excited about putting ads in front of those people. So maybe that actually works, and we'll probably start it this week or early next week.
Okay.
So we'll see how that works, and if that works.
Was that man? I completely relate to the oh man, I don't want to give Facebook money, but I mean any paid advertising guide or advice that you get right now, most of them start with Facebook. So what was your conversation like with, or what was that like, and why is it that Facebook is such a successful channel to go after?
I like for the why, I have no idea. Like I don't know, but like Asia recommended it and said it has worked well for other clients of hers.
Yep.
So I mean, it would be stupid to not at least give it a try, like and see how it works. And we don't have to spend a lot of money with them, but like if the return of investment is there, then at least at this stage, I feel like it would be pretty stupid to not do it. Like ethics aside a little bit. um, the question is like, what else? Like, where else to spend the money? Like, giving the money to Google isn't that much better, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, if you can make it work on a small scale with Facebook, then that would be interesting, at least to see what works, and maybe then branch out from there and try to replicate what works on Facebook on other platforms, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but overall, pretty excited about it, and especially having someone who knows what they're doing, like at least has some experience, because like when we started doing some ads, we started from scratch and we're basically clueless. And my hope is that Asia at least has enough experience to make it work faster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we see. Starting that soonish. I think Jane's doing the visuals today and working on approving the copy and stuff like that. So yeah.
Nice. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What else? Oh yeah, like one experiment we did when we launched the website was disable Google Analytics by default and only enable it when you accept the cookie consent.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to roll that back.
Okay.
Because like afterwards we didn't have any, like, no analytics whatsoever. Like, I mean, still a handful of people accepted the cookies and allowed us to see what they are visiting, what pages they are visiting. But like for the majority of traffic, we were blind and had no idea what was going on.
Man,
also,
that is
one of those things where
go ahead.
One of those things that don't, like, it doesn't feel right to do it, to be honest. But then again, like with Asia working on the marketing, it would be kind of unfair to basically hire her and then show her our data up to now, and then pull all of that away from her and ask her to improve the numbers without actually seeing the numbers is kind of yeah, it is a bit of a shitty move and unproductive. So we decided to enable it back.
Mm-hmm.
I also looked at other solutions, like for analytics. Like, for example, now that the website is on Netlify, they have like an analytics product built in. I was looking at Fathom, but like, I don't know, like, it felt like they might have all the data we need, but for one thing, they're not really presenting it in a usable way. At least that's how I feel about it. So we ended up like sticking with Google Analytics for now. Just like for the most part, because of the historical like trend data, that was something that I wasn't able to figure out. In Fathom, for example, I wasn't able to figure out, like, yes, I can see my goal conversions at this very moment, but like, what was my goal conversion a week ago or a month ago or stuff like that, and how did it develop over time? And while I hope that they have this data, like, they're currently apparently not presenting it, so that makes it a little bit hard for our current use case, I think.
For sure. And that's such a, there's so much overlap there between switching Google Analytics on and deciding to advertise on Facebook, where it's, man, there is just such a tension right now between the practical needs of the business to grow and be sustainable, to put you in a position to have the privilege of saying we are a no Facebook company. And that's a, I don't, that's, well, it's a spectrum and that is a complicated issue that is not as black and white as it can be for folks like Basecamp. Like it's much easier to make that decision when you're just pulling in money hand over fist versus when you're, like we got to figure out a way to make this work. So we got to try everything possible. We got to try everything that is available to us. So I mean, I appreciate the tension that you're experiencing, and
we're doing it, but at least we're feeling bad about it.
well, Well, yeah, whatever. We could do a whole. I think we could do a whole episode.
Yeah,
Just on
for sure.
that topic. Yeah, might be fun.
I mean, we see. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say I'm really curious to see what the Facebook experiment does, because
yeah,
if it works, then the conversation gets really interesting.
yeah, for sure. Like, if it doesn't work, then yeah, things are a lot easier to turn off again.
Yep.
Yeah, but like, there's a weird, like, yeah, as you said, there's a weird tension between privacy and respecting the user's privacy and still having enough data to kind of work with. Like,
Yeah.
again, I the thing is, in the end, I don't care about like who was that particular user who signed up via Facebook. I'm just caring about the aggregate stats. But like, of course, like all those big players, they're still tracking on the individual user level, and they are using that data for whatever they want to use it for. So that makes it kind of, yeah, leaves a bad feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of rolling things back, I also spent a couple of days last week to roll back some of the performance optimizations I made a couple of weeks ago. Like, remember, we had some troubles in, was it February or something? And while they fixed the performance problems, they also introduced a lot of other problems.
Oh no.
Like, for the last couple of months, some part of user list was constantly broken, I feel like. I mean, not broken in the sense that nothing did work, but like it was causing queues to back up, and it was causing like random failures that we were able to recover from, but like it was still a mess. Mm-hmm. So one thing in particular, we use a lot of counter caching, like the Rails counter caches, to speed up basically result index pages where we load a lot of resources, and each of them has a counter associated to it. For example, this one I fixed or rolled back this week was like how many people are in a segment and stuff like that. Previously, we would like count those on the fly, and I changed that to have a counter cache, so the count is stored on the row in the database. But turns out we update segments a lot and update memberships a lot, and we were updating that counter a lot, and that actually like that caused real problems on the database. Like, it's the first time this happened for me, but apparently there's also like write performance problems are actually a thing. So, yeah, as I said, like updates to the segments slowed down the database as far as like it's taking several seconds to update that one row to increment that one counter, because like 2,000 updates were happening at the same time for that particular row.
Yeah.
So last week I decided to remove that counter cache again, and now we are still counting on the fly, but I'm using a common table expression to basically do all the counting for all the results ahead of time, and not like have this n+1 counting problem. And so far it looks like it's a little bit slower again, like on the read side, but at least it's not causing problems on the write side anymore. So fingers crossed. Hopefully this is fixed for now.
Well, okay, so you do feel like you haven't gone completely back to the problems that you were having in February.
Yeah.
Okay.
But rolled it back a little bit. Like this like one learning for me, counter caches don't work on a high load application. That's
okay.
It just doesn't work. If the counter changes more than once per second or something like that, or once per minute, then it's not feasible at all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so is it, and it's in a good enough place that you feel like you're moving on from it? And
I'm moving on from it for now. Like there's still a couple counter caches in there, and I feel like I should probably replace a couple more. But for some cases, I feel like we actually have to do proper analytics setup, like that will actually allow us to do like also like reporting on the front end and stuff like that. I think it sounds a little bit like total overkill, but I think the proper solution to the counter cache problem is very similar to just having a proper reporting and analytics setup as a first class feature. So I'm basically balancing the need to fix that and the need to add this feature, and at some points hopefully it will just like make sense to tackle both at the same time.
Yeah. Have you happened to listen to the most recent episode of Build Your SaaS?
Yes, I have.
Okay, where John Buddha is talking about restructuring there. Okay, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Actually, would be interesting to hear more like how their current setup looks like and what they are thinking about doing in the future. But gut feeling is it's probably something similar.
Okay. Well, should maybe reach out and see if you can get 15 minutes.
Yeah, maybe. Not doing it right now because it's like not a high priority, but maybe when we get to actually building that feature, then it probably makes sense to reach out to people who know what they're doing.
Or, well, I mean, know what they're doing now because they've been through it.
Yeah. Know what they're doing now at this scale.
So what are you moving on to then?
Now that the website is mostly done, I'm back to working on the company accounts feature.
Okay.
That has been
data model.
A little bit on the back burner for the last 3 weeks or so.
Feels about right.
Which was also kind of nice to like get a little bit of distance between me and the problem, and then now coming back to it. And I was actually able to finish up the data model rewrite yesterday. Rolled it out earlier today. Broke something, took 30 minutes to fix it. and now we have the new data model up and running. It's not visible in the UI whatsoever, but at least like the underlying database structure allows us to associate users with multiple companies and vice versa. And now I'm working on our Ruby gems to support like sending that particular data to user lists.
Cool.
And once that is done, I'll probably start like just integrate it into user lists and start playing around like with our data, and then build up from there and figure out like how can I make this work for our use case. And once that is done, like roll it out to everyone. I feel like getting some real world usage in there early on is probably smarter than trying to solve everything without ever touching real life.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah, lots going on.
Yeah, it's a big update. Plenty going on. Anything? Yeah, like at a higher level, like strategy that you're like when you're able to get yourself out of these weeds, that you're thinking about, okay, database performance or email sending, like any big like topic that you're really trying to think through that you could want to share here, or still kind of punching from one thing to the next?
Well, the overall strategy, like on the product side, is company account feature, like the data model feature, the new, data structure, I guess.
Yeah.
After that, integrations with third parties like Zapier, Stripe, Scout, whatever. We initially planned to do that first, but figured like if you want to make the data model change, it makes sense to do that first.
Yep.
And I think after that, like maybe the analytics stuff, but that would be kind of cool and would also solve some of the performance issues, as I mentioned. But like, it's too far in the future to be certain that we'll actually be doing that next. And on the marketing side, like now that the basic website is done, knowledge base is almost done. We'll work heavily on like more content on the website. Have like dedicated landing pages for like for particular features that we support. Like right now we only have like the homepage, a features overview page, and a dedicated landing page for in-app messages. But it's kind of stupid to not highlight all the other stuff that we do. For example, our segmentation feature is pretty powerful, and we're not really talking about it. Our email campaigns look like they're super simple linear campaigns, but like with the
pretty robust
ability to just skip messages and like have dynamic content, and like you can do a lot of stuff, and we're not really highlighting that anywhere. And then, like a lot of other things, like once we launch the integrations, stuff like that, have that on the website. So that's the strategy there. And then on top of that, try get our feet wet with the paid advertising and see what else Asia comes up with.
Yeah. Great, man. Plenty of exciting stuff happening over there.
Yeah, it's moving forward right now. Like, I mean, it's funny. Like, I feel like since about 4 weeks or so ago, I don't care about trials right now for some reason. Like, I don't really care about conversions. It feels like we're very much just like laying groundwork and like putting stuff into place to allow like hopefully improved sign-up rates in the future. So yeah, I don't know. It's always a weird tension between like getting users right now and like making sure you get more users in the future. And like I hope this, like all of the stuff we're working on, is putting us on a good path to more signups in the future.
Well, and better retention when you get them.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Good catching up. I guess my goal for this week is going to get that piece of Cornerstone content out. So hopefully next week I'll have an update on that, and we'll share some specific numbers on outreach and follow-ups. Follow us on Twitter at SlowSteadyPod. Show notes and stuff at slowandsteadypodcast.com.
Cool. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Later.